I think our speaker is on his way here. That looks like
Hi.
that's happened. Yes, there he is. Hi, Ilya. How are you?
Hi, doing great. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you. I just had a mouthful of coffee and I suddenly had to pad a little bit, which so that's fine. You have the honor of closing the first half of the first day of this particular track. So, where are you speaking to us from? Whereabouts are you in the world at the moment?
I'm based in Moscow, Russia.
Moscow, fair enough, fantastic. I know Moscow's in Russia. It's all right. I'm in London, England, so that's good as well. That's great. It's a very international event. So, all the way from, and are you all set up and ready to go?
Sorry, come again?
Are you set up? Are you fine to go? Have you got everything you need?
Yeah, I'm fine to go. Yeah.
So I'm going to back off and let you have your talk, and I'll come at the end and ask you some questions. And then we go from there. Ilya, the floor is yours.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Ilya Eremeev. I'm from Melrose Games Ventures, it's an investment arm of My Games. Today I want to give you an idea what could perfect game company pitch deck looks like. We invest in video games companies, and for my last time in MRGV, it's 2.5 years now. I saw more than thousands of pitches. And I realized that there is no perfect framework for giving a speech or giving a pitch for investor, because many pitches contains some unnecessary information, just takes too much time to get through it, and some pitches lack some important and essential parts in it. So I decided to create a kind of perfect pitch deck. So give you an idea of how could it looks like and what should it consist of. So it consists of 10 slides. It's pretty clear and easy deck. And please don't pay attention to details. All the information here is fictional. So it's only the only thing that's valuable here. It's like the general idea of what you to put in your pitch deck. So the first slide, it's an intro slide. I think it's pretty important, and it should contain your game company's logo and your name and the purpose of the pitch deck. So in my case, it's Series A investment proposal pitch deck, and the date is May 2020. So they give you the investor the idea of what's the general purpose of the pitch deck and how actual and current it is. So it's pretty clear. And then it goes their most important slide in whole pitch deck, I guess. It's founders, because I believe that in a gaming company, in a game startup, founders is one of the main and the most important assets. So it's pretty important to introduce key decision makers in the company right away. So it should include a photo, role of the founders, and their previous experience and track record. And it's very good when you have a LinkedIn link connected to your profile. So I could just follow the link and get more information about your experience and what you guys up to. And
Ilya,
yeah.
Ilya, sorry to interrupt, but I think you might need to press play on the slideshow. I don't know, because it's still, I know maybe you're not, but I just wanted to check because it's not showing the slides. Just showing the.
I think I'm showing it's paused.
We can just see. Sorry, we can just see the PowerPoint, the whole thing, but not the slideshow. It looks like you need to press play from start or something. And the actual PowerPoint, maybe. I don't know if you've got two PowerPoints open. Maybe it's different ones.
Okay. Just give me.
Sorry, we've got plenty of time. It's okay. We're not. You're the last one. You can take as long as you need. So sorry. Yeah, I just didn't want you to go through the whole thing and then go. It's not showing because it wasn't.
Okay.
Aha, that's perfect. There you go. Brilliant.
Now you can see the founder slide, right?
Yeah, founder slide.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. I was talking about the most important slide. It's founders slide, and here at the bottom of the page, you could see like a mission of the company. I think it's pretty important to articulate the mission and what's your up to, what's your idea of the company. In my case, I stated that my fictional Red Soda Games is founded by industry veterans and focused on multiplayer mobile games with social core and original IPs and mass market appeal. You could came up with something that would serve you best, but that's my case. And the second important slide is team composition. I think the team is the second important part in the company. And it's pretty important to understand how many people you have, where are you based, and what's your previous experience, and how it is translated in monetary meaning. So it's pretty important to state your burn rate. In my case, it's 50K per month, and your targeted burn rate, because often when you raise money, you have to increase your burn rate, hire more people, and it's crucial to understand what's the actual burn rate would looks like after you raise the investment. And it's pretty important to state the previous experience of the team, like at which company they worked at, but please don't use the terms at like the team has 600 years of experience combined. I strongly believe that experience doesn't combine, and it's just something that could confuse potential investors. And it's pretty important to state your hiring and management strategy. In my case, I came up with the idea that my company would hire top tier heads, and we would save some money by hiring remote and cost-effective development teams. It's a great idea, and during the current time, it's something that you could think about. And next slide is your previous titles and your previous experience. It's great if you have previous success. So you could just state it here, how many downloads and how much revenue you generated by your apps. But it's perfectly okay if you don't have any successful titles. You could just state here your previous experiences. Because if you failed and you learn some lessons out of it, it's also normal and it's perfectly fine with us. So you could just state something, show something here that you worked at. But it's great if you have worked on titles that got some success and some scale, because it's not just it's not to guarantee, it wouldn't guarantee your future success, but when you are like familiar with how big titles are operating and how it looks like how to do and run live ops, for example, in the big titles and mass communities. So it's transform your vision, transform your mindset, and so it's pretty important to understand that you had that experience. That's a general slide for the whole presentation. That's about your game that you're developing. In my case, I came up with the idea of a combination of fishing mechanic and modern and deep Clash Royale-like meta. It's perfectly fine to use fake screens and using some, art from other titles, because it's not a commercial-based thing to show. And you should just translate your idea about what kind of game you're developing. What would be the core gameplay, what would be the meta gameplay, and what's your monetization idea. So in my case, I came up with a proved mechanic, core mechanic. Fishing is pretty popular mechanic, and proved meta game that's just proved in different titles. And my idea of monetization is we're gonna sell premium currency, and it could be spent on speeding up chest unlocking and purchase some missing resources. And a few screenshots just give your potential investor a clear idea how you think your game would look like. The second part of the game pitch is competitor analysis. So it consists of two parts. First, it's positioning. I think that's pretty important because it would find the idea of your positioning on the market in comparison of other competing titles, because it, you you need to translate your idea in a short term, in a visual way. So you could do that in comparison. So that matrix is just an example. You could use any other axis to translate your idea. I choose to compare in two points: at deepness of the meta and accessibility of gameplay. So my vision is our game would have really deep meta in comparison and with other competitors, and it will be pretty accessible. And I think that's what Clash Royale and Golf Clash did with their competitors, and we about to do the same thing. And the second part of that slide is top competitors. It serves the matter that I should show my investors that there is some money in that niche. So don't hesitate to show successful titles here, and it's always you always have some comparison, some comparing titles. So please try to find something that is close to your idea, and that maybe your close competitors, and try to use analytic tools like AppMagic, for example, to or App Any to get numbers and estimated numbers of downloads and revenues to show your potential investors what's your potential revenues and could looks like. The next slide is roadmap and KPIs. It's also very important to show not just your current KPIs, but it's dynamic. It means that you are working on your game and you're constantly improving its mechanics, and you work with feedback by the players, and you could analyze data, and you could analyze what's going on in your game, and you're constantly improving your KPIs and your game. And please be realistic in there. Please provide like realistic dates on when you're planning to run a soft launch, when you're about to push your game to global launch, and that would help investors to understand how much money you need to complete your game, not complete, but prepare your game for global launch, and what's your current metrics looks like. Because you know, game oriented investors are pretty familiar with KPIs and of other games, and they would compare your KPI with others. So please try not to cheat here, because on the next step you could be asked to provide access to your analytics tools and like provide proof your numbers. And one more important thing, it's cohort size, and make sure that it's at least 1,000 players to make some trustful numbers. And it should be 1K players in 1 year, and at least 100 paying users to measure monetization KPIs. Then it's company info slide and investment proposal. It's something that usually missing in pitch decks. Like you just saying how great your company is, how great your game is, but it's not clear what you're asking for. So please make sure to clearly state the amount of funds you're raising, and maybe some non-monetary things you're looking for from your potential partner. In my case, I'm stating that cap table. Cap table, it's a table describes ownership of the company. So in my case, there are 3 founders and there some VC fund that we get on board on the previous round. And at this round, we are raising 2.5 millions at 10 millions pre-money valuation. It's debatable, so please be ready to justify your assumptions on how much money you what's your valuation at the moment, and don't focus too much on the valuation. Please have like stereoscopic vision on the terms and take on account other things besides money, because first thing you should consider is how fit your vision with investors' vision on your company, and what kind of benefits they could bring on the table besides money. Because everyone has money now, and you have choice, and valuation could be not the most important thing at the round. But please make sure to justify the amount of money you're raising at this time. In my case, I'm saying that 1.5 million I need to keep my company running, and I'm about to spend 1 million for user acquisition. It's pretty important because in some cases you would meet with investors who could offer you something like some different schemes. For example, at MRGV, we provide money for marketing separately from money for development. And from this statement, I could see that I could offer you something better than just 2.5 million in exchange for equity in the company. I could invest only 1.5 million, get less shares in your company, and provide you with 1 million for marketing in a kind of different way, which would be mutually beneficial for both sides. And I'm trying to state that multiple investors are welcome here, and the minimum check is 500,000. It's just to get to potential investor the idea of how you see your potential partners, how could they looks like. Are you up to attract some angel VCs on this round, or are you looking for a single investor who should cover up the whole round? And the pretty important thing here is a closure date, like expected closure date. In my case, it's December 2020. Just to give your potential investor the idea of are you in a hurry, or there is plenty of time to have some meaningful conversation and negotiation. And please make sure to run your raising efforts in advance, because there is rare case when you could raise the money in less than 3 months, because it takes some time to approach investors, to have some multiple negotiations, to do due diligence. And if you need money like next month, or you're gonna bankrupt, it's just would be a deal breaker for many investors. So it's super important to state real closure date and what you expect to close this round. And it's a great thing to have, but it's not mandatory to show off your long-term goal. In my case, I imagine that it would be a great thing to me to exit in 3 to 5 years at 6 million plus valuation. I think that's important to get aligned with investors' vision, because when you get VC on board, your company is for sale since that moment, and you have to have an aligned vision or future for your business. Because if you're not about to exit the company at some point, it would be a kind of problem if your partner want to do that. So make sure to state as much and express as much information as possible, and to express your vision and your idea of your future. This next important slide is forecast P&L. It's something that's commonly used for Series A companies. So because you already have some traction, maybe you have even a revenue stream already. But if not, please just create a cost part of the P&L, and because there's something you could have even if you don't have any revenues or traction right now, but you could calculate it out of your company budget and your expected how much time you need to hit a break-even point. Break-even point is when you become profitable. So usually you should be raising money enough to survive till the next round or to hit the break-even point. So this P&L forecast is kind of a justification for the amount of money you're raising at the moment, because you would be asked by the investors on what would be the usage of funds you're raising, and that's a clear way to show how the money you're raising would be used and what it would be used for. And the great thing to have, it's your expected KPIs. You could construct that by using your previous experience or by exploring your competitors and talking with other founders, or using any other resources to construct this vision. That's a important thing to have, because it's kind of a goal, the thing you're targeting, and that would help investors understand, are you have like a touch with reality, and is your expectations are realistic, and is your whole business plan is realistic? Because for investors, it's pretty important to understand how this venture would benefit for them, how they could make money out of that investment, and stating these financial calculations and their expectations is cause a lot of questions right away. And the last slide is the thank you slide. It's also important because it should have your contacts. I think the most important thing is your email here, and that's how you could get contacted by your potential investors and partners. So that's it. That's the last slide of the deck. And I would leave for, you could find the whole pitch deck on my Medium or on my Facebook, on my LinkedIn. It's free to use. Please feel free to get it and modify it and use it as a template for your own presentation.
Awesome! Wow, thank you very much, Ilya. That was sadly you don't get the real round of applause, because nobody can do it, but you get a virtual round of applause. I thought it was really good, really detailed. We've got a few questions actually, if you don't mind answering a few questions from the audience. And I thought there's a lot of detail in there, and I can obviously, that's your perfect pitch deck. How does that compare to the pitch decks you see typically? Are you getting pitch decks, or are you getting? I mean, you've asked for them, but are you getting quite different things?
Yeah, I'm usually the pitch decks that we're getting are pretty well, the high quality ones, but sometimes they lack some essential parts as the investment idea. For example, as I said, the pitch deck could represent the company or a product, and I was all excited, and I'm about, oh my God, that's something that I could be interested in, and then I'm expected to be asked for something like, what are you guys looking for? And then when I missed it, I should contact the founder and ask them and find all the crucial details about our potential collaboration much later than I could have.
Yeah. Okay. And I've got a couple of questions I'll go through. So one of them relates to just that. Is this pitch deck, is this a typical thing for most investors? Obviously, you want them to come to you. I get that. But is this pretty standard questions that everyone wants to ask, or are these something specific for the way that?
I think that's kind of general knowledge. It's a little bit perfect for us for MRGV, but I think it would be great to use it for pitching to any other investors. But keep in mind that it's game industry specific, and it's expect that your potential partner have an idea about the games market and etc. because it lacks the industry overview slide, for example. Because
no, totally. No,
yeah,
I appreciate it's a games one, but if they're going to a different, competing investor, I think it's very, very good, and it's very open and generous to share this around. You mentioned a few things. So this is another question from the. You mentioned kind of burn rates and projected burn rates. Obviously, people can work out how big their team is now, but the question is how should we estimate the projected burn rate? Is underestimating that level a concern, or can you go too high, too low with that?
Yeah, actually, I have an example of game company's budget. So you could construct your hiring plan and the positions you're looking to close in the nearest future and their salaries and some tax multiplier. So you could calculate for each month how much money you're about to burn. That's all the expenses combined. Like you need to cover salaries, you need to cover office rent, like any other stuff like outsource, servers, and etc. And then you like have a sum of it, and then for each month you have that statement with like you're about to hire, for example, 2 developers in March. So you have 2 more positions in March, and then you are about to hire like a 3D designer, and your monthly burn rate increase on the salary of a 3D designer, and then you have like total sum. So you will get an idea about your total amount of money you need to get to a certain point, and you would have a your monthly burn rate dynamic. So if you take a look at my LinkedIn or Facebook, you would find the template for games company budget, so you could use it, and so that would be really helpful.
Fair enough. There's a couple of questions kind of related here. One is, what's the most important aspect when you're looking at? People often say in talks that it's all about the founders and the team. It makes kind of sense because they can make the game and they might not succeed with the first game. Is that true? And also on the flip side, are there any common mistakes that developers make when dealing with investors or in their pitch decks? Anything they should?
Yeah, as I said at the very beginning of my presentation, it's really important to founders are the most valuable asset in the company because we invest in people in the first place. And if your idea is not that great at the moment, you came up with something different. If you're a great founder, if you're a great entrepreneur, so we would invest in people, in teams, and even if your current project wouldn't turn as a success, you came up with something different at the pivot stage. So yeah, I think that's it's super important. But even if you don't have any previous experience and it's your first game in business, it's also possible to find investments in your company. So if you lack at some part of your the deck, you could force other part. For example, if you lack experience, you could force the idea of product. If you have a idea of the product, it could be a problem. But because you better
you need something, right? You need something to
win.
Yeah. But experience is not necessarily. I mean, it's important.
It's not necessary. One of the most successful investments in MRGV was in a company without any experience in game development. We invested in this pre-seed stage where even no company being incorporated. So and now they are making like multi-million revenues. So yeah, it's absolutely possible to get investments without any experience.
Okay, cool. That answers another question as well. So Harry Florencio, not anonymous, has said, how important is it to display the market opportunity for certain niches? I mean, you talked about comparing different games and how.
I think it's pretty important. In the first place, it's important for yourself to understand your position on the market and like to justify for yourself, is this game idea have any potential? Because when you have just a rough idea in your mind and you don't put it on the paper and you don't do homework on get the idea of if there are any real potential for your idea, you would be you think that you could be over positive about your idea, and you would be you would find any evidences of your future success, and you would ignore any obstacles for that.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got two final quick questions, and I'll let you go. So I know you've got the Investor Connect stuff going on. So, I've got an anonymous question. Considering forecasting is usually a guesstimate, I guess this goes back to what we said before. How much value do you find in it? Because I guess that's what I was looking at. What the other person who was asking a question was looking at was how do you forecast, what your burn rate's going to be when really you've no idea how much.
Costs forecast is crucial. Earnings forecast is guesstimate, that's for sure. But if you could came up with that guesstimate, it's better than if you don't.
Yeah. Okay.
We understand that it's not something that would be like real, and it would be adjusted at some point.
Yeah.
But if you have it, we could talk about it. We could dig your mind about why did you create such estimates, and what's your what are you basing on?
You could help hone those estimates, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's good to, you've got to start somewhere, right? Otherwise, why you can't.
Yeah, sure.
A final question from the audience is I'll paraphrase this. I guess are there any things changing in terms of the type of investment or the things that investors are looking for as a result of the COVID crisis and the potential of the recession that's ahead? I presume that is impacting to some degree.
I think the most valuable impact here that we become more comfortable in investing in remote teams, companies, because right now we're working remotely, and before that crisis, it was really important to invest in companies that sit in one place and that felt like a company, and without having an office and sitting in one place, it was a downside. Right now, I think that's we don't care about that anymore, and it brings more opportunity for distributed teams.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for all that, and thanks for sharing that. As you said, we'll make sure we paste that link in this window and in the Discord for people to check out. You will be involved, or MRGV involved in the Investor Connector, which people are signed up for. We're not. It's already oversubscribed, so I hope that goes well today. And yeah, mate, we'll hear more from you later. Hopefully, you'll come out of this with some amazing new signing deals that we'll read about and write about in a couple of years' time. Thank you for your time, Ilya. Thank you very much indeed. Digital round of applause for me, at least. Yeah. Okay.